All right. So we are talking about being published right now. We're not talking about writing. We're talking about the step when your book is completed and you're actually launching it out in the world. And for today's chat, we're speaking to Bruno Olierhoek. Now, Bruno is the author of the Ubuntu. Well, what's the new title? And I'm going to ask you now because we changed it so many times. I don't want to spoil it, but he's a CEO and worked in corporate for 27 years and really began to have leadership lessons that he crafted into a model, which he's going to share with the title now, and crafted into a model which became a book. And Bruno is going to talk a little bit about his publishing choices because they are interesting and different, and it's ended up with a book out there in the world. So, Bruno, welcome. Um,
Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about, and we just started speaking, you finished your manuscript, you're about to launch it out, traditional publishers, independent publishers. What was that step for you?
Yeah, so my book is Holistic Impact, the Ubuntu Polder Journey. And indeed, after having finished the manuscript, I sent it out to several publishers. And several publishers came back with what felt like standardized questions and proposals. But there was one that stood out, which was Red Penguin, where the head publisher, Stephanie, actually set up a call. And when I was having that call, it was very enthusiastic. I could clearly feel that she had read the book, that she was really interested in publishing the book and working with me. And on top of that, she was based out of New York with a more international audience than some of the other publishers on my list that were more Africa-based. And so I decided to go with Red Penguin.
And that, just to also clarify for our listeners, so you had approached some what we call traditionals, your Penguins, Random House. Stephanie from Red Penguin, who really engaged with you, was an independent publisher, which also meant that there was a cost attached to it. And unlike traditional publishing, so you're moving into the world of indie publishing, which is completely appropriate often for business leadership books. So, Bruno, what were the next steps? Because obviously a lot of authors are sitting with this now. She said, I'm interested. She's given you a bit of a quote. What were your next steps with her?
Yeah, so it was quite systematic. And of course, the first things first, the editing of the manuscript, a little bit of back and forth, but not too much. And then once that was approved, then we went to the book cover design. We went to finish also some visuals, some infographics for the book. And then they created a media kit for me for the launch, which included a press release, some promotional images, some talking points. And then they also helped to enroll me on Amazon, did the Amazon listing and other digital listings. So that was definitely a big help.
So yeah, exactly. And so all of that was done for you because that Amazon thing is a little bit of a beast. So relief.
Yes.
So after all this, you were sitting with just what is really a package deal, which you could start to roll it out. So you were given that. Now, how did it launch next? Were they involved? Was it on you? How did the next part of it roll out? Now you've got your printed book, your Amazon book. What were those steps like?
Yeah, so they asked me to write a brief for the cover design, which I did. But I ended up redoing it myself with other people because the versions that I got from them didn't really capture the vibe that I wanted. And knowing how important the cover design was, I decided to basically, after a few back and forths, to say, okay, let me do it differently. And the same for the infographics. I think they are good in words and publishing, but the creative part maybe is not their forte. And so I decided to take that outside. So that took a little bit more time, but I think a good payoff, because at the end of the day, that's what people see when they first look at your book. So the impression they give, that the cover gives them, is very important. And then also I had to work on the final endorsements for the book, and someone to write the first introduction of the book.
Just to pause you there, so was there leeway with the publisher? Because often in publishing, there's lots of deadlines. Was it, I need a few more months, so was that a negotiable process, and did that work well?
Yeah, I never felt pressured, and that they said, you know, this is the deadline and you have to meet it. So that was quite flexible. Having said that, whatever deadlines I gave them, I was able to meet them as well. So maybe if I hadn't stick to the deadline, it would have been a different answer, but I didn't feel any pressure.
All right. So now let's move on. You've got all of this. It's all said and done. You've got your beautiful printed versions of the book. Your title has changed because I'm laughing because Bruno and I spoke much about it. And this is typical. You go through so many title iterations. And ultimately, what ended up on the cover was Holistic Impact, the Ubuntu Polder journey. It started as the
Yes.
Polder model. It went through so many ways. You're sitting with this book in your hand. Let's talk your launch and sales. What did you do and how did that play out?
Yeah, so looking back at it, one thing I advise everyone to do is to also say what is your objective, and how do you define success? And we assume that it's the number of books sold, but that is a tricky one, because it really takes time to sell a book. I think very few of us have an immediate hit where they sell thousands and thousands of books. So you have to also look at other metrics, like, you know, how many discussions have you had one-on-one on the topics or the themes of your book or in your book? Some people want to just strengthen their CV or their business to get some more clients. And it can also be, and that was a big part of the objective for me, is my personal journey, my personal development, and going through the writing and publishing and everything that comes with it, and all the learnings. Because once you've actually published your book, there's quite a lag. There's a delay in getting your sales data, then a further delay for royalties. So if you want to just have the objective of sales and royalties, it's a bit tricky to get the exact numbers and to get it quickly. So it's this limited feedback loop that you have to think about, and find other ways to get to know how people read and feel about your book, and if it's truly performing.
Completely. And sometimes, and very often, my sense is for many authors, it's disappointing initially, but you've identified that it is a slow build. I always recommend a publicist. Did you go with a professional publicist, or have you been kind of self-managing book launches? I don't know if you done book launches? Have you done book talks? And of course, in your business realm, it's also speaking to seminars. So that would be your primary kind of output, right?
Yes. So I've done some podcasts, I've done some lectures, but I didn't go for my type of book. I didn't go for a whole series of launches. My audience is global, and so to travel around the world just to introduce my book, I didn't see it was making a lot of sense. So it was great that I got invited for podcasts. I got invited for some lectures, one of them in Gibbs University in South Africa. Those are great opportunities. And I continue also with social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, etc., where I try to regularly post about my book. I also try to see what are other topics that are related to the book, and then I comment on it and I refer to the book. And as you can see, I've also made my Zoom backdrop with the book cover to remind people. So yeah, it's a lot of different activities. I've made a short video also for social media, a 1 minute trailer. And now what I'm doing is that, because I also love photography, is I've taken some of my favorite pictures and I add a short text that is linked to the theme of my book. So that is what I'm doing right now.
Okay, yeah, and this is all about it, and it does become relentless. And so many authors, we all feel that it's how many times can you drop the link of your book? How many of your friends can you say, "Have you bought my book?" So you're doing as you're saying, we have to move it into those broader circles. I wanted to just ask you about Amazon. So, firstly, technically, do you manage your Amazon or does your publisher? And secondly, we often say it's a huge beast. It is a great friend of authors because it allows our books to be sold, but it's a huge thing to navigate. So, what's your experience been on Amazon? And do you have any tips or tricks?
Yeah. So first of all, the statistics I've seen is that 75% of the books worldwide nowadays are sold through Amazon. So yes, it's very, very important that you do things right. So Red Penguin does the basic listing and profiling on Amazon. But then as an author, you're obviously able to fine tune. So adding your video or other images, and also, of course, trying to get people to endorse your book, get the ratings. So yes, I did also spend some time myself to consolidate the profile, do the Amazon author page, etc.
Exactly. So Amazon Author Central, potentially Goodreads. I don't know if you're in that. And there's a lot of linking that you have to do because, exactly. So there's Bruno sitting as a top company leader, a thought leader. And suddenly you're put in this position where you're having to link your author profiles on Amazon and do the back ends. And it's quite difficult, Amazon, because people can't easily do it for you. I have people all the time saying, "Can't my publisher manage it?" And truthfully, they're not very good at that. I've experienced that again and again. And often it is actually just in the author's lap to do all of this link and claim your book on Amazon and claim it on Goodreads and link it to this and link it to that. So it's an unexpected part of the journey.
Yes.
Indeed. Um,
In fact, that was true along the whole journey, from the writing and then the finishing up with the visuals, the getting the endorsements. All along the way, it's learning, it's unexpected things, it's new things. But it's also one of the reasons that I enjoyed. It's very rewarding because you're involved every step of the way. So it's really like your baby that you have to take care of.
Completely. There's no outsourcing it. Even you even did your own cover eventually. And I can't tell you how many authors have actually done that. They've gone,
Yeah.
I know what the vision is, and this is not cutting it. I'm going to separately pay a better design. And it's so important that you're proud of the product when you stand and speak
Yeah.
about it. So before we wrap up, because we're keeping it kind of tight, Bruno, if you had to start from the beginning and approach this publishing journey in the realm of thought leadership, business leadership differently, because you're in that market, what would you have done differently with the benefit of your hindsight now?
Well, first of all, be more expecting complexity. So you really need to put some time in your agenda on the whole publishing, just like you have to set time in your agenda as you're writing your book. Get people that have gone through it to help, because that's great, and take the time to find a supportive publisher. Where they can help you, where you feel that they're caring about the whole process. And not all publishers do that, but for me, this made a big difference. I would also say plan your marketing from day one. In fact, don't wait for your book to be finished to think about the promotions. Because indeed, we always think about we need to get it published, but then it's published, you go like, oops, now what? So you have to prepare for the long haul. As you yourself often say, Sarah, that promoting the book becomes a lifetime commitment. And that's really true. So if you've written about something that you're deeply passionate about, then that will give you the energy to keep going and keep finding new ways of promoting your book. And then you stay adaptable, keep learning. And then you've got these things popping up. Somebody wants to talk to you. You got some questions by email. They say, can you come to my university to do a lecture? And that spontaneity is what I like. But it's a journey.
Yeah. And was there anything very frustrating for you that, in this process, was there anything that just was you would have actually this industry should work differently, or yeah.
No, it's the most frustrating part was really just the cover redesign, because I put a lot of effort writing a good brief, which I thought would lead to what I wanted. And then when I got the first draft and it didn't feel right, and we really had a couple of back and forths. But then I decided, no, let me try it with just someone else entirely. And luckily that time round I got what I wanted. So that was really the most frustrating part. The rest, no, not really.
Okay, good. And we're going to wrap up now. So really a just exciting way of getting it out in the world. And you did it at such speed. I mean, Bruno wrote his book he was so clear. Um, and just to remind you and all the authors that this is like a 10-year game you're in. Like, of course, in your first year, it just builds slowly, slowly. But in 5 years' time, I think we'll be having different conversations. I know Simon Sinek started with his book, and look where he is now. Sometimes you just got to own that concept, and then the
Yeah.
doors open in different ways. So, Bruno, thank you for that. The holistic impact, the Ubuntu Polder journey. We'll also drop the links down in the comments so you can get in touch with Bruno or follow him on LinkedIn, and most certainly buy the book. It's fantastic. Thank you, Bruno.
Thank you, Sarah.